Hi, welcome back to Echo Diabetes in the time of COVID-19. We are here for a patient panel and healthcare professionals who are living with diabetes and also on the front lines. And so you have some of the higher risk individuals if they were to get COVID, and some of the people who are really the heroes in this pandemic and putting their lives on the line. So today we're joined by Natalie Johnson, who is a nurse in the frontline in a COVID unit. Natalie, thanks so much for taking the time to speak with us today.
Oh, thank you for having me, Nick. I'm very excited to join you. So here, in the inpatient unit, in the beginning, and now we're kind of not changing it, but really giving people permission to, if you got to go in the room, you go in the room. Where earlier in the year, when we didn't know what the PPE supply chain was going to look like, we really focused on, okay, we have to cluster our care. So we go into the rooms for like a set, an allotted amount of time, 45 minutes, we'll be in the room. And basically you're trying to get everything done, wrapped up, so then you can come out and not have to go back into the room again for a couple of hours. But, and that was really to conserve PPE. We were trying to make sure that we had enough for everybody. And so as our PPE supply, the chain has kind of been more robust and we have what we need, we're really giving people, okay, you don't have to conserve as much as we did in the beginning. So if you need to go back in, if our ancillary staff need to go in, absolutely, we have what you need to be safe to go in. So that has kind of added this extra layer where they've been doing a lot of virtual teaching, right? And Zoom is great, but it's hard to teach how to stick your finger and do the machine and put the code. Depending on what, meter you have, to do it over Zoom, you have to get in there, you have to do it. So I think, the people coming in and not, knowing that they even had diabetes, and then us giving this intensive crash course teaching, that isn't necessarily new, but the new part was really getting people comfortable to really lean into the PPE, to trust it, to be in the room, to get the education done for our patients. We do mental health debrief sessions with our staff, and we talk a lot about the loss. We have lost a lot, right? And we were all going through grief, and I recognize that that was part of why I just was like, I'm going to eat carbs, and yeah, I'm just going to do the best I can. But really allowing myself to I'm grieving. I am grieving right now. I'm in a phase of grief, and that is more than likely why I'm just like, okay, I'll do the best I can. And I got all this, competing demands. Because blood sugar control is absolutely important, right? It's number one, and why isn't blood sugar control number one for me right now? And then I get kind of back into that cycle, but really ultimately it was grief, and to allow our patients, you do want to have good blood sugar control, but having a blood glucose control for 5 days in the hospital with us, or even for the next 2 weeks with us, is it going to make that big a difference? I don't know. I don't know. But what I do know is that if I have a safe space to grieve, I'll get there. I'll get to my blood sugars, I promise. But I just need to cry. I just need to process, and just, try to manage it that way. So it's quite difficult to teach someone and ask them about their blood glucose management. It's a very intimate experience, and then strangers are asking about it. But then you add COVID to that, I think, just I just tell, we're just all trying our best, but to be gentle, it's a lot. It's a lot.
I was going to ask you kind of, what's been the biggest challenge for you?
My family, right? Keeping myself, how do I make myself safe? How do I go to the grocery store? Complete lockdown. We pulled my son out of daycare, and so there was just so much, and I just kept thinking, I wear a CGM, but I wasn't talking to the pump, and I knew that I wasn't giving it my all, and when I really needed to. So my normal kind of practice or my normal tendencies is like if I get a cold or when I get sick or something's going down, I really get strict, like with myself. Like I'm like, okay, recalibrate, count my carbs. I'm doing everything I need to do. But this time I was so mentally exhausted and my plate was so full. Like I knew I'd recognize like, okay, 80 carbs. Like I wasn't, I couldn't, like, I just couldn't do that. And I tell myself, I'm doing the best I can. Okay, 80 carbs. Yeah. Okay. 225. Okay. Give a unit. Like I ball, guess it. And so my warranty came up like in May, and I talked to my endocrinologist and I told her, and I was like, I need the most support I can get because I'm stretched thin. And I'm stress eating. Like I would give her my blood, we'd upload the pump and I'd give her my blood sugars. And the first thing I'd say, I'm like, okay, just so you know, I've stressed eaten so much food for the last 3 months. Like that's what you're seeing. And that's what it's going to be. Like, that's it. So I'm going to eat my feelings. And so my ask was, whatever pump, give me a pump that can just support me. I just need that extra support for my mental health, because I get down on myself. Like I know I'm not doing a good job. Like I know in my eyes, I'm not doing a good job. This is not what I want to do, but I also know I don't have the bandwidth of trying to stay on target or under, 70% of my goal. So we ended up going with T-Slim and Control IQ, and that was in June. And I remember I got it approved, and then something happened. Oh, I couldn't get trained on the pump until like mid-July. So I had the pump for a whole month, and they're like, "Oh, our first training," and I'm trying to make it work. And I was like, you know what? I'm like, I'm pretty sure I can do this. And I got a few days off from work. I took like a week off. And at that time, I was like, I'm going to go online. I'm going to watch their videos. I'm like, I know how to do pumps. Like I've had an insulin pump since 2000. So those 20 years I've been on an insulin pump. I'm like, I'm sure I can figure this out. And I did. I got it hooked up to me. I didn't know how to do a Control IQ, but it was like 2 days before the training. I got it all. I figured out, I had all my supplies, and I was on it. And then I got the training for the in-depth training and started Control IQ, and it just, it lifted that little piece off my plate where I just knew that something had my back. And that has helped considerably. It really has. And it's kind of funny because we laugh when I sleep at night. Control IQ is like perfect, but the minute I wake up and start eating something, it's like, okay, you got to help out Control IQ. It can't do it all on its own. So I'm still in the stage of stress eating and coping with my carbs. I cope with carbs, but I feel it felt so good to just have something, just like I had my back. Okay, in the background, I know like it's gonna help me out, and I'm deeply appreciative to have the access, really, to have. And I mean, I think of, testing on a meter and multiple daily injections, what I used to do before pumping. And I can't imagine, but I'm so incredibly grateful to have the opportunity and really the access to have this type of technology. I think so personally, what I've learned through this experience is to allow myself to have the awkward weeks, I try to stay away from bad weeks, like saying bad, because, you know, it is what it is. But you have those weeks where it's off. I'm having an off week. But really learning to embrace that. That's what I learned, is now I'm quicker to recognize I'm having an off week, and it is what it is. I just go with it. And I've started to laugh more through it. And then, you know, have the 2 good weeks, like the 2, you know, weeks that we're rolling full steam ahead. You know, personal life's great, professional life's great. Like we had a great week. But really, when I've learned to recognize quickly, like, oh, I'm having an off week, and not only that, but to embrace it and to be absolutely okay. That's what I personally learned, and it's been that's amazing, because I always really had that negative self-talk, you know, oh, my blood sugars, you know, oh, I was 300 yesterday. Oh, I ate 3 pieces of pizza. Oh, I had a margarita. Like, you know, just that loop of negative self-talk. And this has taught me to just be okay with it, and that it changes. It's not this permanent state. You know, it's not this, this too shall pass is like the understatement of it